Hey, what's up? Pastor Dill, the boss man. Great to be back on Spitting Fire. How are you?
Come on, Dubsy, I'm good. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it is good. Nice to be here. Excited for today. Life, leadership, and lingering topics, i.e., sometimes the topics no one wants to talk about.
Love it. So good.
Come on.
What are we talking about today, Dubsy?
Today we're talking about parenting by faith in 2021. And I don't know about most parents out there, but I'm feeling like, which one of you all kicked me?
So hopefully we'll get some wisdom out of this moment.
We 100% going to gain some wisdom. We're going to ask some questions. We've got a few thoughts and just some detail around what it looks like. And hey, the reality is we have no idea what the future holds, but we have some keys that are going to help us shape it.
So good. Love it.
And just this week, I was reading an article on CNN about Generation C.
Wow.
And it's amazing how...
Is that a thing? Generation
C? Absolutely it is. We had Generation X and we've had Generation Z, which is up to 2015. And they've actually labeled this corona pandemic age group or demographic the Gen C generation.
That is amazing.
And they say it's so hard to label a generation, but this has been determined by a global pandemic and a global situation. So they've actually labeled the generation of
C.
Yeah, 2016.
Joel would be a Generation C.
He's Generation C. Anyone from 2016 to 2030 will fall into the Gen C generation. And it's quite amazing, though, because if I think of my little guy, Roman, he is the most diligent guy with sanitizing his hands, wearing his mask.
How's that?
And he would have just missed it by a year. He was born 2015. But amazing to see how it's affecting our kids at such a young age. And we are doing what we can to parent them through this season.
Yes,
so
we are. We are.
I wanted to ask you, what is going through our children's head in this season?
I give up. Tell me.
Yeah, 02.
I got to be honest. I wonder about that sometimes, though, because they're breathing the same air we're breathing. They're watching the same news we're watching for the most part. In fact, if I think of what my kids speak about at school, sometimes they know more about what's going on, at least through the news channels, than I do myself.
Yep.
So what's going through their mind? Probably a whole lot more than what's going through mine, even, just to be straight up. So I guess you got to ask people listening to this now, what are you thinking about? And double up on that, because that's the kind of information that's flowing through your kids, through their lives right now. We're going to have to do something to channel it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about things like friendships and fears? And I think of our little guy, went to grade R, left the preschool, went to a new school, arrived, had to wear a mask all day, sanitize his hands, be in a brand new environment and classroom. Surely there's some sort of friends and fear factor that comes into play there.
Let me ask you this question, because I'm not even aware what might be going through his little mind, like new school, masks, distancing, something wrong with that picture. What's going through your mind as a parent? Because you're probably like many out there.
Yeah, I think fear sets in me. I think if I look at the start of the junior school career for my other kids versus his has been completely different. And they could play on playgrounds, they could run around and play cricket and ball sports and play. Now they sit on their lunchbox or cooler, a meter apart, and have a conversation and eat their lunch. But it's just a weird setup and dynamic. Yet I still believe that this year of COVID's probably they've gained more than they've lost.
Yeah.
I understand that educationally they've probably been set back a little bit. But I think they've gained so much life in this season.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's how do we actually, for lack of a better word, is parent by faith. Speak life, encourage, get behind these guys. His transition was phenomenal. And I keep using him as an example because it was just so standout. But he had 2 wobblies, 2 bad days. The rest of the time he put his hat on, gripped his bag, stuck his mask on and got out there. And he's made it happen. And for him, it's no different. For him, it's I suppose, after 2 weeks. And I think it's for me as a parent, just to try and get behind him and encourage him.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying interests me, because then it's more about how we manage ourselves than how we try and manage them.
Yeah, and I suppose our response.
Totally. Kids are so resilient. They see through things. Like, for sure, part of what's going through his mind is, I can't wait to get out there and play cricket. He's not even giving it a time frame. He's just looking forward to the outcome.
Yeah.
For us, we're like, this has to be fixed now. This won't work. We can't call them C. Let's give them another title. So I think a lot of the parenting conversation, I like how you say let's parent by faith, because a lot of that comes down to us living in that world and then translating it to them rather than expecting that of them, So
absolutely. So there's four different ideas that I wanted to touch on very quickly in this episode. First one is prayer moments and bedtime.
Yeah, I love this. We as a family, we've spoken about this a lot and talk about it to our team. But us as a family, like the one thing I've tried to do probably since Mackenzie was about 2 years old. So she's 13 this year. So it's been 11 years of trying to find this rhythm, is praying for them at nighttime.
That's awesome.
Like, it's just like a simple little idea. I remember when I started doing it 2 years into praying for her, I went to test the one day and I was like, so what it looks like, just to backtrack a bit, is every night she gets into bed, or now all 4 kids get into bed. And then just before they fall asleep, I'll walk into their room, I'll put my hand on their heads or on their shoulders or whatever it is, and I'll pray a blessing over their lives. That's the kind of goal. But I remember 2 years into it, walking into Tess in the lounge after praying for Mackenzie. And Mackenzie just says amen, like deadpan face, amen, 4 years old. I said to Tess, this is lame. Like, what a waste of energy. I'd rather watch a good movie,
Yeah.
And then the one day happened a year after that. I went into the room and Mackenzie said, hey, Dad, can I pray for you? And I was like, wow.
Sure.
And suddenly I realized that the time I'd spent praying into her life had been seeds.
Yeah.
And they'd grown into faith for her to now say, can I pray back into yours?
So good.
And so now it's become a thing in our home. I would encourage every parent. Some days you don't even have like many words. You just walk into the room, hand on their shoulder, hand on their head, just pray a simple blessing. God bless this child. If it's a boy, I raise a young man. I believe he'll be a godly man. I believe he'll change his generation. And if it's a young girl, I believe she'll walk like a princess. She'll believe that she's beautiful and that she'll carry a godly spirit into her generation. Simple.
So good.
Other times we pray for the future and houses and dance parties and the stuff that comes from them. But the simplest part of it is we can build faith into our kids by simple prayers daily.
So good. So you may be feeling like there are things that are lame in your daily faith practices. I want to encourage you. Maybe they're just laying a foundation. Maybe they're putting seed in the ground for what's to come, and maybe there'll be a turnaround. Trusting that there'll be a turnaround for the moments you find lame.
I love that, because even in this day and age, like, we're a convenience generation. We know this to be true. We want everything now. And so when it comes to prayer, we think, okay, how are we going to get our kids through this COVID season or this pandemic or their future? Well, let's just pray.
Yeah.
Our minds are thinking, though, if we do it for 3 weeks, we're going to get a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's not the point. The point is we're sowing seeds. We're building faith into their hearts. We're reminding ourselves that prayer matters.
Yeah.
For me, it's become a connection point. Like,
so
every evening with each child individually, it's just amazing. So
really, really cool. And we forget how resilient our kids are.
Yeah,
I was just thinking through that as you sitting there declaring faith over them, and they get up in the morning, go out there and change their world. It's just so resilient. So they jump up,
they're
get
amazing.
their game face on, and get back out there. So
we should do one of these, like finding your inner kid.
Yeah, there we go. Finding your inner kid. I'm going to make a note.
Because we're trying to fix what they already have, i.e. resilience, because we don't have it anymore.
Yep.
Maybe, I don't know.
Finding your inner kid. Watch out for that episode coming soon. Alrighty, table talk, highs and lows.
Oh, Rich and Jax McGavin.
Come on.
They taught us this, right?
Yep.
So another one of the ways we can build faith into our kids and even to our family is when you sit down at the table at night. And disclaimer, like, make at least 2 or 3 days a week where you sit at the table and eat together.
Yep.
Every other day, let it be whatever. But just choose a few where you're at the table.
How much pressure's on parents to do it every day?
Oh, man, I think everyone's feeling that. Like, am I doing enough? Like, if I only do like one a week, is it okay? I'm like, one's amazing.
It's incredible. Just do it. I think so often people put so much pressure on themselves to nail it every night.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah. Imagine we could be a fly on the wall of every home. We'd be so encouraged.
I think you've just set so many people free.
Good.
3 a week. Come on.
Yeah, 3. And if you can do 2, do 2. If Friday is your night, do Friday.
Make it good.
But make it good.
Come on.
But table talk is just a moment to sit down, look each other in the eyes, and ask a few questions. We do it the way Rich and Jax taught us.
Yep.
So we do highs and lows. Like, what was one highlight of today or this week if it's a Friday night and it's been a few days?
Yep.
And then what's one low light? What's made you sad or what's made you think about life? And what's amazing for me is it takes like a while for kids to get into that routine. But now our family, you'll know it's like you've been at a house. If you sit down at our table and we say, so what's the high? Like, it's routine now. They go, oh, today this happened and this person did this and this kind of happened. And sometimes, like for Joel, he's just grateful for his red bike every day.
Come on.
Yeah, super simple.
Every boy wants a red bike.
He's 3, exactly. Parents, just keep it simple. Don't expect the world out of them. The point is to bring them in the conversation.
It's so good. And I love the highs and lows because I've got a house of 3 boys, and generally the answer is good. I'm like, how was your day? Good. How did the test go? Good. How was sport? Good. How was cricket? Good. How was break? Good. Who'd you play with? Good. I'm like, boys, give me somebody to work with.
Yeah.
So highs and lows have worked for us as a family.
That's
and then
great.
we also ask another question now. We say to them, hey, what challenge did you have and how'd you get through it?
Yeah, I love that.
And some days there's no challenges, but some days there are. And I think it's just trying to provoke emotion, trying to get a little bit more out of them.
That's a good question.
So it's
what challenge did you have and how did you get through it?
Come on.
I love that.
So it's also not every day. Don't get it right all the time. But when we do get around the table. It's one of the questions we like to ask.
We had a friend, Nande Boss, with us this last weekend,
Yep.
and her daughter, Tanaya. And they sat down for dinner with us on Friday night, or Saturday night, should I say. And the first thing I did was, all right, guys, so what have been your highs? To which Tanaya replies, what does he mean by highs? So my kids jump in and go, he just wants to know what you loved about today.
Yeah.
So that's all it is, really.
It's
not,
awesome.
There's no exact science,
Yeah.
but I think the way we build faith is, Andy Stanley said it beautifully. He said, what you celebrate, you repeat.
So good.
So when you celebrate a high, chances are it's going to show up again in your life. Yeah.
So good. Come on. Alrighty. Encouraging daily devotions. Look, to encourage parents or adults to do daily devotions is hard enough. What are some tips or tricks to get our kids to getting into a daily devotional daily?
Buy them a nice one.
Come on.
Like a pretty one.
Yeah.
With pictures if they're young, a blue one if they're boys, a pink one if they're girls.
Yep.
There's no point in giving them a boring devotional and telling them to get their Christian walk
Unlocking
on
the
track.
Bible.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to happen.
Go for it, boys.
Yeah,
That
so
tip.
this has been an interesting one for us in our home. We go through seasons straight up, just like the adults.
Yep.
Where I'll walk into their rooms and their devotional will be on the corner of their desk and I can see it's nowhere near their bed, which tells me it's been there for a little while.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I'll just say, hey, so what's God teaching you? And when they start to speak back to me, they'll start to pick up where I'm going with it and we'll say, you know what, you should just start reading his Bible again,
Yep.
like let's not make a big deal. And then they'll do it. But for the time when they are doing it, I encourage our family, no tech until you've taken a moment with God.
So good.
Because we all live in the tech world. I'm the same. Like,
Yep.
even if I don't really care much about Instagram, it's still a habit to open it up.
Absolutely.
So we just said, hey, in the mornings, no tech until you've done a moment in the Bible. It can be 2 words. It can be a page. It can be journal. And obviously the older girl's doing really well.
Yep.
For Joel, it's like, come into our room. We're going to say a quick morning prayer together.
So good.
So, yeah, I think, all this stuff, Dubsy, like, this topic is great, bro.
That is so good. So
Building
helpful.
faith in kids, like in this season,
Come on. I also love the different levels. The fact that you can just take a moment to pray with Joel,
Exactly.
yet Mackenzie's opening up the word for herself and having a good read. And
Yeah,
identify where your kids are at. Find what works.
absolutely. And I mean,
But take a
with your
moment daily.
boys, like
Yep.
they each respond differently.
Yep.
And so your expectations of what it looks like for them to pursue something of their own faith,
Yep.
it's different.
Absolutely.
But don't negate it. That's the thing. Like parents, like we said this, any intentionality in this season is going to be multiplied in the next.
Absolutely.
Any intentionality.
And look, we have no idea where it's going to go, but I can guarantee you the fruits of it are going to be super beneficial in the line.
Absolutely. We're going to wake up 3-4 years from now and be grateful we had table talks, prayer times, devotionals. We're going to be grateful for it then.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, final one. Church participation, and I love this as well, feedback moments.
Yes.
I think so. We ask the question every single week as a church, what are you taking into your Monday? And I think so often we maybe get our kids to church and get them into kids' church, but we never take a moment to be like, all right, what have you learned?
Yeah. So
What are you going to apply? So how do we encourage church participation? And then obviously for the parents, getting good feedback.
Well, I think this is a chance for parents to get involved.
Brilliant.
Like for sure, prayers involvement, table talks involvement, whatever. But at kids' church, and I mean, your wife's leading kids' church, so you're right in the middle of it, or you get this. But I love how intentional they're being in those environments. Right now, it's online.
Yep.
I mean, they've just ramped up the whole online experience. They're
They have,
wanting kids
yeah.
to like check it out and be a part of it. My kids look forward to clicking play on that YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Even though they'd rather be in a room,
Yep.
they're still excited to push play. And I'll tell you why. Because somewhere in that exercise or in that lesson, there's a moment that makes it practical.
Yeah.
And that practical moment, I love what Bridge is doing. She's giving tools to parents and children to make practical what faith looks like in their worlds.
Brilliant.
And so there's a craft that goes out every week on the social media
Yep.
channels. There's the YouTube conversation that gears toward the craft. Here's what it looks like. Parents, download the craft.
Yeah.
Sit with your kids. Work with them. Ask them what they're enjoying about, what they're learning about it. Like, it's just a check-in moment. Sometimes we do it in the bath. Like, literally,
Yeah.
they do their craft. They have their fun. We missed it because it'll happen like Angeline will look after it.
Yeah.
But when they're bathing, we'll say, hey, we saw you guys did some really cool stuff today. What's that all about? And then let them articulate. Do you know how cool is this? You'll enjoy this. They're saying that the best education we can give our kids today is comprehension of what they've just experienced.
Brilliant.
So in other words, when they go through anything, they need to be able to comprehend it and talk it back to us.
So good.
And if they can do that, they'll never get it in. It's kind of like, what challenge did you face?
Exactly.
So with the kids' craft, it's like, what was the craft? What was it teaching you?
Yeah.
Let's talk about
We didn't
Jesus.
just build a cool rocket or a jetpack.
Exactly.
What's the jetpack talking to you?
We're vying moon.
We're flying to the moon.
For one, for all.
For one, for all. Awesome. So basically,
Simple
anything
things.
we do, don't lose heart in this next season. Believe that we can do these simple things. I want to run through the 4 of them one more time. Prayer moments and bedtime, table talk, encouraging daily devotionals, encouraging church participation, both on campus and online. And we believe that these simple steps of faith are going to be life transformating for your kids.
I believe that, bro. Absolutely.
Come on. Hey, parents out there, don't lose heart. It's been a tough season in parenting, but as we parent by faith leading into 2021, I believe that your kids are going to be super beneficiaries of these moments together. So thanks so much, Pastor Dill. Awesome to be back with Spinning Fire. And I want to encourage you, hey, if you want to like and subscribe, you haven't done so yet, you can do so up here in this box over here. And over here, you can click to get some more videos just like this one, some more content, more talks around leadership, and more helpful topics. Thank you so much for joining us in the episode. Ciao, ciao.